Hello and welcome to the newest edition of LeeLive. Here we are talking about the same old stuff. The console war, relations between Nintendo and PC. It's been quite an interesting couple of days. Of course, we had like yesterday's stream in which we extensively talked about Horizon Zero Dawn, the decline of PlayStation, the the endless amount of PlayStation ports, and there's a very interesting discussion to be had here. Is what is the inevitable fate of the other consoles? And I think what's going to happen, and what's happening now, is that these consoles, these wannabe PCs, are losing to actual PCs, like the thing I'm streaming from right now. You do not have the same kind of utility with consoles, the Xbox and the PS4, than you do with a PC. And as a result, it's becoming more and more of a meme among certain circles in that you don't really need a new video game console to play the newest video games. It's better to simply just own and maintain a PC. And there is a certain amount of reason for that. When the PC gets both Halo Master Chief Collection and games like Horizon Zero Dawn, right? Exclusives that are on both of the platforms. Why would you not just get the PC? Like, what does the PC do that the other consoles can't do? It's just, there's just no sense. And as a result of that mindset, of that realization, it is imperative, I think, for the Nintendo Bros, the Nintendo Alliance, the Nintendo fan base, to temporarily align ourselves on the side of PC gamers. Because PC gamers, more so than Nintendo fans, I think, PC gamers are more willing to stand up against the PlayStation Nation and call them out on their shit. Most Nintendo fans simply want to be left alone. They simply want to sit down, play some Pokemon, and just enjoy themselves. They don't want to be embroiled in these online debates and endless, like, these endless shit posting contests. They want no part of that. They just want to sit and play video games. As a result, it's very, very difficult. It's been very, very difficult to get anyone interested in really kicking off this console war. Like a real proper protest against PlayStation, Xbox, and the way third parties support those platforms over Nintendo. It's very difficult to get anyone to care because people are so busy enjoying their lives and enjoying their games on Nintendo hardware. There's no they simply have lives. You can't really say this about any of the fan bases from the other three platforms, PC, Xbox, PlayStation 4, but Nintendo fans actually have lives. Nintendo fans aren't interested in endlessly shitposting about these video games. It's so interesting to me to see how this Horizon Zero Dawn situation differs between the wonderful 101 situation. Like, there have been a number of Nintendo Switch games that have been ported to PC, including Octopath Traveler, Daemon X Machina, the wonderful 101 now. I can't think of what else, but there's been a lot of initial Switch exclusives that have gone to PC, and no one in the Nintendo fan base really cares all that much. I myself was perfectly fine with Octopath going to PC after that year, right? After the year was up, it was like, yeah, it came to PC. Who cares? It's a great game. I think I encouraged PC gamers to play it, if I'm recalling correctly. Yes, I was criticizing people like Mr. Medicare who were coming out complaining about it being $60. How cheap are you? Oh, a video game is $60. Oh, forgive. It's ridiculous. I can't really take it seriously, and I supported Octopath, and the only reason I'm really against the Wonderful 101 going multi-plat is really more due to the Kickstarter than anything else. If Nintendo is fine with it, so what? The issue primarily at this stage is the way Platinum has gone about it, and how this is going to end result with other projects. I'm just the PC gamers, the PC gaming audience are essentially completely delusional. They have convinced themselves essentially that PC is the definitive gaming platform, that it cannot be beaten, it cannot be defeated, it's too good, it has higher frame rates and higher resolutions. Oh no, not higher resolutions. It's this kind of justification that just PC gamers, you can't. This is the interesting thing about PC gamers that I've noticed, is that the only time that anyone talks about PC gaming in this day and age, it's due to a console game being ported to PC a couple of years after launch. Like Daemon X Machina, Octopath, you know, this, Horizon Zero Dawn, and I'm sure Final Fantasy... I can already guarantee you that Final Fantasy VII-R is already coming to PC. In fact, if I do play the game, it will be on PC. It feels as if... excuse me. It feels as if people are making... PC gamers essentially exist in a bubble. Like, no one outside of the PC gaming community really cares about PC. So, not a lot of people understand that the PC gaming market is mostly entirely comprised of ports from console games that look and play exactly the same as they do on consoles. There's no real benefit to PC. The benefit to PC, as I see it, is that I need a PC anyway, because I need it for work, I need it for YouTube, I need it for like Microsoft Word so I can write my novels. There are a lot of things I use PC for, so as a result, yeah, so what if a game comes out on it? Like, maybe I'll buy a game on PC, maybe I'll want to play Fallout or StarCraft 64, not StarCraft 64, the original StarCraft, excuse me. Maybe I'll want to play those games. That reminds me, I really, really need to get back into that. Get into both. I need that gaming mouse. Soon, gotta get back into playing StarCraft. It's been too long. I feel as if the PC gamers have sort of underestimate their own flaws, essentially. Like, they always try to push this narrative that, like, oh, you can push that, oh, you can patch that yourself, oh, you can mod it, you can do all this stuff. But when you get right down to it, there aren't a whole lot of developers that are developing games exclusively for PC. Nearly every major indie developer has found success on Switch. Like, Minecraft is doing very well. Hollow Knight did well, so well, in fact, that Silksong, the sequel, is launching as a Switch exclusive. Nintendo knows what they're doing. Like, the Nintendo audience, like, loves indie games. They're taking off there. Personally, and I really do feel this way, the only reason PC gaming was as relevant as it was in the past decade was because of the rise of internet, of like digital downloads and sharing mods online and pirating games online. That cannot be understated. Just how prevalent the PC gaming audience, how synonymous they are with pirating shit. There are all these things that sort of lead to PC gaming. PC gaming was really only popular for it had a brief resurgence of popularity for this reason, because of the internet. And now that consoles are catching up, now that they're expanding with their own services, their own unique subscription services, their own unique features, PC gaming really can't keep up. And in fact, the thing I'm seeing from PC gamers is that the PC model is actually working against the PC gaming audience. Like, paid mods are now a thing. Microtransactions are everywhere. Subscriptions are everywhere. Like, All this stuff, terrible indie games are everywhere. Anyone, pretty much anyone, can publish games on Steam. Some of the worst games that have come out in the past decade have come out on Steam because of their sheer lack of quality control. There's so many reasons to be against Steam and against PC gaming, and nobody wants to admit it. Like, they always make excuses, they always make justifications, they always do all this stuff, and they never really acknowledge the superior Nintendo software, like the variety. The same console has Breath of the Wild, ARMS, Ring Fit Adventure, Splatoon 2, Octopath Traveler, like all these things that just come together to really deliver a unique, amazing, immersive experience full of things and things you can do only on Nintendo consoles. And I think that's why Xbox and PlayStation are going to fade away in the coming years in favor of the Xbox Game Pass, which you should be able to use on all sorts of software, all sorts of technology, and the PlayStation subscription service, which I'm sure is going to be introduced with PS5. We'll have to see how that turns out, but I'm not sure if it'll be able to compete with Game Pass. But Nintendo has pretty much already won the console war. They are pretty much the only console manufacturer that is still making true consoles. They're still making console accessories. They are making console exclusive games. They are really, really putting themselves out there and really, really, really making truly amazing, unique, immersive experiences that you can only find on Nintendo. And when you get right down to it, that is why PC gaming cannot compete. They do not have developers as talented as Nintendo. Blizzard is gone. Irrelevant, pretty much. We should be talking about Blizzard here shortly. Maybe on this live stream, in fact. But actually a lot of Blizzard news now that I'm looking at my Twitter feed. There's all this stuff. Blizzard is gone. Bethesda is primarily developing for consoles these days. Fallout 4 was a disappointment. I'm sure The Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be a disappointment. I'm sure everything else they're releasing is going to be a disappointment. Like, Doom Eternal, at best, is going to be just okay. Like, I don't see it outperforming Animal Crossing. I don't see it, like, even being as popular as Doom 2016. Because when you get right down to it, Doom 2016 was a mediocre action game that only garnered attention due to the legacy of the IP and the fact that all of its competition were terrible action games. Like, Doom was mediocre, but compared to its competition, I can sort of see why people were blown away by it. Wow, it's an actual video game on PlayStation. There were reasons to be excited about Doom 2016, but personally, I'm not super enamored with it. Personally, I will say that I really, really disregard anyone who puts Doom as one of their best games of the decade, because that's just laughably wrong. Arlo did that, and I just saw that. I was just like, stupid Muppet. I am so angry. Okay. All these examples, right? Like, all these developers that were pretty much synonymous with PC gaming and really pushing the boundaries and really making unique, amazing content for that platform no longer exist. They are completely irrelevant. They're done. They're never going to make anything good again. And it's only going to get worse from here. Like, we're really only one microtransaction away, guys. And I think that microtransaction, or macro transaction, rather, has already been made. Wait, let me see. Wait, can I find it? I thought it was not very far from here. Great, I was gonna... Oh, here we go. Yeah, that microtransaction has already been made. Activision is not coming back. They are getting worse and worse. Blizzard recently fired their head writer. I have that here too. And they paid the Diablo Immortal guy to shill for it. There are a lot of things to talk about. Oof. Okay, so Nintendo, I think, So that brings us to the topic of why I'm bringing this up, the current state of PC gaming. PC gaming is dead, it's irrelevant, but it does have a niche. Like, if you're someone who just owns a PC who for work or whatever, you should be able to play certain third-party games on your PC. Like, there's no reason that shouldn't be a thing. There's no reason that should stop. The issue I have is with people like demanding that PC gaming is the master race and it's the definitive way to play video games. It's not. It's for casual players who people with jobs and careers who just want to sit down and maybe play Call of Duty every couple of months or so. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's my stance on PC gaming. Like, it should get ports of games that are developed primarily for Nintendo Switch by third parties. There's no reason for that not to continue. I support PC gaming to a certain extent. Like, that's my take on it. Like, PC gaming is preferable to PlayStation and Xbox for a wide variety of reasons, but they are by no means the end-all be-all of the console generation. Okay, so let's see. I just had it brought up. Why did I close the window? Okay, that brings us to our next topic. E3 2020 has been canceled. Corona-chan strikes again. A tumultuous few months ends with founding organization, the ESA, making the call. So yes, there is. I probably should have clicked on the link. Let's see. So yes, E3 2020 has been outright canceled after lots of speculation about how terrible this was going to be, how awful it was, all these developers pulling out, like someone desperately trying to not get someone pregnant. E3 has been shut down due to all things the coronavirus concerns, and I think after that, we're not going to see a return. Like, without going 1 year without E3, it means it's no longer a tradition. They're not going to have the chance to rebrand like they wanted to. Like, more developers are going to push. Their developers are going to do their own thing this year, go to other conventions, and E3, if it comes back next year, which I honestly kind of doubt, is going to be a shell of its former self. It is not going to be what it once was, and I would argue it's been shit for a long time, with PlayStation fans saying that like Sony won every year, even that 1 year they didn't show up. It got really stupid, really fast. Ever since Nintendo started, probably even a little bit before this, ever since Nintendo made the jump into doing Nintendo Directs, the shows have gotten weaker and weaker and weaker, to the point where, like, last year, I was just like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I legit, right, where was I last year? I legit was, like, listening to E3 conferences, and I was, why am I doing this? Like, they are announcing nothing of interest, like nothing worth listening to, nothing worth acknowledging, nothing. Like, even the girl, like Ikumi Nakamura, right, the Tokyo Ghostwire girl, she's gone, she quit, and now like the game is going. Nobody cares about that game. Nobody has talked about that game at all since she left, and she was like the highlight of the show because thirsty simps we're like, a girl on stage, a Japanese girl, I've never seen one of those before. Stop. Like, go out, go to, like, I don't know, your local Panera or something, and talk to a real girl, okay? It's not that difficult. And it is unreal. Unreal. I am just so annoyed at people just hyping that game up, hyping up these third-party conferences for no reason. By the way, let's look at what the highlights of 2019 was, because I honestly can't remember what else happened that year. It's been so generic. It was so generic and so uninspired, and people were so, Fallen Order. Yeah, that Star Wars game was instantly forgotten about. A lot of people hyped it up. EA, like, this really needs to be said. Gaming companies are very, very good at pretending their new game is excellent and is getting rave reviews and is super popular. A Star Wars Jedi is Fallen Order was like one of the most generic action games I think I saw last year. I was like seeing footage of this and like laughing at it. Like this looks awful, like in every way, like the animations, the action, everything about it. But people were like hyping it up because it rips off Dark Souls. Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's embarrassing how low standards are these days. Like Cyberpunk 2077, I could rant about that one all day, and I think I have. Like the big highlight was like, ooh, Keanu Reeves is in it. Like, really, who cares? Breath of the Wild sequel, yeah, that was a pretty good trailer. Elden Ring, nobody cares. Miyazaki, Final Fantasy VII remake, no one cares. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, ooh, definitely the highlight. Marvel's Adventures, no one cares. I think that was overshadowed by Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 of all things, which really goes to show you just where the industry is going at this point. Like, people are moving away from these AAA over-budgeted games and going back to more arcadey stuff, and that's something that I really, really love and appreciate. Like, people are realizing that just because something has a big budget doesn't necessarily make it fun. Like, just look at Red Dead Redemption 2. That's a great, great example. Doom Eternal. Let's see. Project Scarlet and Halo Infinite. Ooh. Unbelievable. Halo Infinite is coming out. A new Halo game is coming out, and no one gives a shit. No one cares. They are still trying to keep Halo relevant, and I honestly did not know this game exists until Angry Joe threw it on his top 15 most anticipated games list of 2020. Unbelievable. Like, we've had like 5-6 terrible Halo games in the past several years, and Angry Joe is still shoving Halo Infinite on his top 15 most anticipated list. Unbelievable. It is embarrassing how big of a simp he is for Microsoft and Xbox. Like, he didn't even like Halo 5 or 4. It just, why are you still covering this series? Like, at this point, I would be done with the video game series. Like, I didn't like Yoshi's New Island, okay? I was very, very skeptical of Woolly World for a long, long time until it actually came out and was actually good, right? Like, I still don't consider myself a fan of the Yoshi's Island DS games. It just... Oof. Outer Worlds, that's coming to Switch. I'm really interested in seeing how good that is, actually. I think that has been delayed because of the Chinese situation. But Watch Dogs, Legion, ooh, another game that people don't care about. Angry Joe still hyping it up. Unbelievable. So yeah, this just goes to show you just how generic this E3 was. It was awful. And yet, like, you have these journalists, these shills, these YouTubers. Wait, I didn't see Death Stranding on here. Was Death Stranding at E3? Oh, that's right. Sony wasn't there. Right? Was that last year? I honestly don't remember. Oh, yeah, even without Sony in attendance. Yeah, so yeah, Death Stranding wasn't there. Yeah, so all of these games, like, except for the Nintendo ones, Animal Crossing is going to be great. 8 days until Animal Crossing. I'm so excited. All these games other than Animal Crossing look like complete shit or are already confirmed to be complete shit. I'm not sure if From Software is going to remain relevant for much longer. How much longer can they milk the Dark Souls formula? Like, really? Like, are they really just going to keep doing this forever? Really? And it was written by George R.R. Martin, and that's not going to end well. We've seen how novelists handle writing games. It's not pretty. Oof. Miyazaki has teased that the game will be heavily influenced by Dark Souls. Wow! You think? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I don't think he can keep doing this. I think with Sekiro, that was sort of the end of the Dark Souls thing. Like, people are getting burned out on these games, and I don't... Oof. I don't know if they can keep doing this. Like, they're not doing anything new, like, for sure. Like, Dark Souls, this is hilarious if you think about this. Dark Souls has had more clones of itself than Zelda has had 3D entries. Like, when you get down to it, you have, like, what, like, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, 1 through 3. You have Bloodborne, you have Sekiro, and then you have this. That's like 7 games. Like, there are like what, 6 3D Zelda games to date, right? Like Ocarina, Majora, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Skyward Sword. Yeah, 6. Like Breath of the Wild. 6 console Zelda games in like a period of like 20 years. And people say those games are rehashed, or try to say those games are rehashed. I don't see a lot of people trying to pretend that Zelda is rehashed and lazy anymore. I think that narrative has kind of died out, to be honest with you, because we've seen what rehash and lazy looks like with the Uncharted games, with Jak and Daxter, with Ratchet and Clank, with Sly Cooper, with all of these PlayStation franchises, God of War. The list goes on and on and on. Like, they just keep milking this shit, and like once the flames die out, once the first flame goes down to an ember, like once the core audience moves on to something better like Hollow Knight or Breath of the Wild or anything else, like From has nowhere to go. Like they're not going to be able to make a new Armored Core. They're not going to be able to make a new Tenchu. Like, they've been doing this forever and ever and ever, and it's just, I don't think they really have it in them to make anything else. They've become a one-trick pony. It just, oof. It's very, very embarrassing. Not a big fan of From Software. Final Fantasy VII R. Yeah, I have a lot to say about that. We'll have to wait until it actually comes out in April, though. I'm very, very interested in seeing how it does. It's being heavily, heavily shilled by the media, but I don't know if it's actually going to result in real sales or not. I can't see it outselling the original, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that turns out. I guess now's a good time to get caught up on super chats. Not super chats. Regular chats. It is. The Dolphin emulator is better than playing Nintendo games on a GameCube and Wii, which is bound to break down. You do realize you have to replace PC too. It's not like some thing. Yeah, you never played Animal Crossing. Yep. Hi, Harmon. Yep. Hi to you too. Let's see. PC incels will beg for games to their platform because it's the only way they can get recognition in any games. They need console games to have relevance. People don't consider a game until console. Yep, nobody cares about PC. Let's see. Cyberpunk 2077, junk, man. Yeah, yep, it is junk. Dark Souls is a virus. Yep. Yeah, the corona of video games. Dark Souls, only DS-inspired games like the series itself is clunky and broken. I was never a fan of the Dark Souls games or games like it. It really is cancer. Yeah, so Dark Souls is, I think it is losing its popularity. It's gotten a lot less traction in recent years. Sekiro had a lot of hardcore fans sort of criticizing it. So I think we're at the point where people are ready to start mocking it and going after it and start condemning it for being lazy and rehashed. All right, so that's everything I wanted to talk about with that subject, I think. All right, so now the big topic. The big topic we've all been waiting for. Hey, what's up? The big topic we've all been waiting for. PlayStation on Switch. With PlayStation making the jump to PC, it's only logical to assume that if they're so desperate for money, if they want to report their games on as many platforms as possible, if they want to reach the widest audience, they should absolutely put their games on Xbox and Nintendo consoles. Now, I'm sure the Xbox ports of everything is coming, but the thing I want to see, the thing I think everyone wants to see, is a true PlayStation collection for Nintendo Switch. I want to see classic PlayStation games like Parasite Eve, like Chrono Cross, like Suikoden, Shadow of the Colossus, Godhead. Like, I want to see PlayStation games like Gravity Rush, God of War. I want to see everything on PlayStation make the jump to Nintendo consoles. There is no reason to not give us the games. Like, give us the games that you want to sell on multiple platforms. Like, make the jump into Nintendo consoles. And I'm declaring this right now. Hashtag make the switch now applies to PlayStation. PlayStation should absolutely be putting their software for all of their games, first party, third party, whatever, onto Nintendo consoles. They should be glad. They should be eager to make that happen. Like, there is no reason not to do it. It's extra money in their pocket, and it will do nothing but benefit them more when they're ready to retire the PlayStation hardware brand. This would be an excellent first step in winning back consumers and becoming popular again, because we all know PlayStation is not very popular. I would definitely enjoy that a lot. Are there any cult classic PlayStation games you would like to see on Switch? Personally, I would like to see Gravity Rush 1 and 2. They are one of the very, very few PlayStation games that I'm sure I would like if I had played them, but unfortunately they've been released for consoles that I have no interest in purchasing. So those games being ported to Nintendo or even PC would be amazing. I would greatly appreciate that. That would be fantastic. Big fan of that. Big fan of the idea. Cyberpunk 2077 is the best game of 2020. That game hasn't come out yet. We know nothing about it. And I know enough about CD Projekt Red to tell you that it's not going to be a very good game. Witcher 3 has been out for years, and I can tell you it's one of the most overhyped RPGs in recent memory. On par with Mass Effect 3, with Skyrim, with like all these generic fantasy RPGs that are basically only hyped up because gamers have low standards. Gamers have low IQ. There's no real defending The Witcher 3 in a world where Zelda exists. Like every given Zelda game, like not the best, like literally any given Zelda game is better than The Witcher 3. And my opinion has always been that Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be a poor man's Deus Ex. It's going to be lesser, it's going to have less choices, it's not going to be as compelling, it's not going to be interesting. The only reason you are defending that game is because it's from CD Projekt Red and you've had nothing else to play all generation long. You have been waiting 5 years for a mediocre cyberpunk open world RPG. Just unbelievable. That's another thing. We know nothing about Cyberpunk. Like, all anybody wants to talk about is like, oh, it's being made by CD Projekt Red. So, like, Angry Joe tried to damage control this. Let me see. I should bring that video up because I keep bitching about it. I keep bitching about this specific video. I keep bringing this up because it's so embarrassingly awful.
Maybe some trouble in paradise. I don't think so. I think ultimately, if you taper your expectations, don't like.
Here we go. Like, this video really annoyed me in general because it's full of bullshit. He's ignoring all these great releases and like hyping up complete trash. Final Fantasy VII-R is a great example, but just listen to how he describes Cyberpunk.
You can't do self?
Oh,
you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll play how we want to play.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, what could be above that? I think you already know. Let's check it out.
Number 1.
Cyberpunk 2077. It's shit, and I hate it, and it sucks. Yeah.
Holy shit! Based in red pill. Oh no, never mind. That's not the video.
Fucking piece of shit.
I agree.
All right then. Thank you guys so much for watching our top 15 most anticipated games list, but that's not all. Just kidding. Okay, on obviously, we love cyberpunk. We love the idea of cyberpunk. This is a genre that's a little underexplored, coming from one of our favorite development studios, hot off the presses of The Witcher 3.
Hot off the presses of The Witcher 3. Did you hear that? He makes it sound like Witcher 3 just came out like last year or something, or 2 years ago. It's been 5 years. Move on. It wasn't that good. I love Breath of the Wild. I consider it one of my favorite games of all time. I consider it one of the best games ever made. But I don't sit here and talk about it all the time. In fact, I've talked about Breath of the Wild rather sparingly on this channel, to be completely honest with you. I've been kind of playing other games, you know, a completely foreign concept to Angry Joe. You know, and I have to, like, point this out. Like, oh, Cyberpunk, it's an underexplored genre. We had a Cyberpunk game last year. We had Astral Chain. Didn't play it. He didn't talk about it. He didn't cover it at all. He just ignored it. Like, he slept through that Nintendo E3 conference. That the only good thing of E3 2019 for no reason. Oh, Cyberpunk. We don't get enough of that. Bullshit. Astral Chain was very creative, very unique, and you completely slept on it for no reason. It's You can't sit there and tell me that, like, oh, Cyberpunk games don't get made. When Deus Ex exists, when Astral Chain exists, when, like, all these games exist. You know nothing about Cyberpunk 2077, and yet you're still putting it on your top 10, still putting it as the #1 entry of your most anticipated game this year because, oh, it's made by the same people as The Witcher 3. Bullshit. Like, that would be like if I sat here saying that, like, yeah, Metroid Prime 4 is going to be the best game ever when it comes out. No, because we don't know anything about Metroid Prime 4. It's just...
Success and...
I'm actually... maybe I should make a video about this, but I am actually very skeptical of Metroid Prime 4 at this stage. We'll have to wait until we see it, but it is actually the Nintendo game that I am the most wary of. I expect that game, it's the game that I would not be surprised isn't good right now. I'm not saying I'm not looking forward to it, but I would not be surprised if it turns out badly, is what I'm getting at.
They've been working on it, they've been delaying it, they've been trying to get it just right. Does that have an indication of maybe some trouble in paradise? I don't think so. I think you're ultimately, if you taper your expectations,
He's putting it in #1 in his list. Just don't expect a good game, guys. It might not live up to your hype.
Putting this in #1 on everybody's list, and talking
Breath of the Wild lives up to my hype.
Greater than sliced bread. It's just gonna be a video game, guys. It's just a video game.
I do love sliced bread.
I'm trying to burn.
Ooh, spoken like a true game journalist. Ooh, it's just a game. Oh, don't ask questions, gamer. You're just a consumer. Just buy the game, buy all the microtransactions, and then get excited for the next game. Ooh, it's just a video game. Ooh, I hate this mindset. I hate it.
Video game, man. But it's gonna be a fun one, and I hope it's gonna be a great one.
I'm excited for this because CD Projekt Red, they're so passionate about their games. So you could tell.
More than, like, you know, Nintendo, Platinum Games, Capcom, you know, like, I don't think so. Like, I don't see where people are getting this idea that there's somehow, that CD Projekt Red is somehow like some god tier RPG developer. Like, they're not. They're really, really not.
From their games, and it's going to be so amazing.
They haven't made anything since Witcher 3, so what are you talking about?
I can't wait for the world. That's going to be the best part. I'm just going to be sightseeing. I'm not even going to do missions. It's just, oh, this is amazing.
You're not gonna play the game?
Nope.
Nope. Called out on his shit. Alex, based and red-pilled Alex, the absolute Chad, calling out other Joe on his shit. Like, he even said it. Like, I'm not going to play the game. I'm just going to cruise around looking at things. Like, that's the open world mentality. Like, these games are not fun. Like, Grand Theft Auto is not fun. Like, this is not going to be fun. It's entirely about just going around, messing around with, finding interesting things to mess around with, usually resulting in just killing a bunch of NPCs. Like, that's it. That's the entire appeal. It has nothing to do... Open world games are not inherently better Like, they just seem to attract these kind of people who just sort of like, oh, look at that open environment. Just, it's not special or new anymore.
That car.
Yeah, just drive around.
I'm in. I mean, this has to be the top of pretty much everybody's list, right?
Yes.
And so it's just
Except
around
me.
The fact,
Do I not count Alex? Like, me and my channel of 331 subscribers? Like, we will not be silenced, Alex.
making it and then the source material. So I'm really excited to see what they do.
No. And I would have been this hyped even if Keanu wasn't in it. You know?
He adds. Joe, love him.
I forget
Love him.
he doesn't add.
He doesn't.
Yeah. They can't even talk about the game. They're talking about, like, they're talking about actors and shit like that. Like, this is not... Imagine... Okay, so I did not like Zelda's actress in Breath of the Wild. I didn't like the voice acting in general. Imagine if I came out, like, and said that, like, this would have been a 10 out of 10 game, but the voice acting was terrible. 4 out of 10. Like, something like that. 0 out of 10. That is kind of missing the point. Like, of course I want the voice acting to be good, right? Like, of course I want the actors to be passionate, but, like, I don't... It's not necessary. It's a nitpick, essentially, when, like, when a voice acting in a game isn't good. Like, when I complain about, like, Fire Emblem voice acting and, like, Fates and, like, Hinoka's raspy tones that makes her sound like she's, like, just got done smoking a pack of cigarettes. Like, I'll make fun of it, I'll address it, but it didn't really impact my experience with the game at all. Like, I would have still hated Fire Emblem Fates even if it had really good voice acting, and I still love Breath of the Wild even with its bad voice acting. But it's just there's no reason for it. Like, it's just hype for the sake of being hyped. Like, they're not excited about the game itself. Like, it's just the whole marketing thing. Like, it's the views they get. Like, people like me covering his coverage. It's all for the attention. Like, again, it goes back to what I said about Astral Chain. Astral Chain did the same sort of... Astral Chain was a cyberpunkish game. You know, the thing that Angry Joe said don't get made enough of. And yet he didn't cover the game at all because it was a comparatively more niche game. And not even like a small game. Like, it sold like 1 million units. It wasn't that niche, right? But somehow it's still, this isn't good. This isn't good. This isn't good. Like, it just... He didn't even talk about it once it came out. Like, it's a problem with Angry Joe in general, but he always just does this thing where and most other game journalists are mostly interested in the views and not necessarily in the game itself. Like, they'll cover this game, they'll hype it up for years and years and years, but once it actually comes out and the review is done and the year is over, you're probably not going to hear about it again. It's unbelievable. And seeing him, like, endlessly cover all these terrible Dragon Ball Z games. I think he's done, like, 4 or 5 reviews of these generic, other than Fighter Z, of these generic Dragon Ball license games. Like, just play something good. Like, play something Nintendo related. Like, do something other than just the same thing. It's so frustrating. It's insane. I just do a live show every morning, right? Like, I do a morning show. I think I cover more material than Angry Joe does in, like, his entire full-time career. Like, what have I talked about this year? Like, this week? Like, Horizon Zero Dawn, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, like, my thoughts on, like, PC gaming, like, all this different stuff, right? My thoughts on Final Fantasy VII-R, my extensive thoughts on Final Fantasy VII-R. I actually think I'm going to go back into talking about that tomorrow, actually, because I have some more material. We're going to be talking about Squaresoft retcons, actually. The retcons of Final Fantasy VII, which, again, isn't directly related to the remake, but is worth acknowledging before we start tearing this thing apart. Lots of things to talk about, but I know Angry Joe, he put Final Fantasy VII R on this list when he's not even a Final Fantasy VII fan. Like, it's going to be the same thing he did with Final Fantasy 15. Oh, I'm so hyped for this, guys. Oh, it looks so good. Oh, the animations are beautiful. Square. I think Square really won me over with this one. And then he didn't even finish the game. That's the reality of Angry Joe, is that he is nothing. He's doing nothing but trying to fish for views. Unbelievable. Let's see. Bring back Tenchu. Yep, I agree. Witcher 3 and Skyrim are masterpieces. Play more games. I own both on Switch, and both are disappointing. Witcher 3 is the blueprint for bad open world games. Spider-Man 2018 and Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Man, I have not heard anyone talk about Spider-Man at all since it came out. It was honestly immediately forgotten. Witcher, Breath of the Wild's quality is partly more evident due to how factory-lined the other open worlds are. Yep. They really are exactly the same. It's kind of weird how people don't acknowledge this more, but Breath of the Wild did more to evolve the open world genre than any game has in the past, like, decade. Like, every other game seems to want to be like GTA, but Breath of the Wild really made exploring this fantasy world, like, fun and interesting. People don't give it enough praise for that. Remember, Angry Joe tried to weasel his way into YouTube by trying to claim he had more integrity than the rest of the industry. How'd that turn out? Lol. Yeah, yeah, kind of laughable. I like Breath of the Wild, but Witcher 3 is much better. Yeah, no. Breath of the Wild, in my opinion, no. Breath of the Wild was rushed and has low enemy variety. It is not rushed. You hate it because it is a AAA. Let's see. Yep. I think that's everything. I think that's the show for today. Everything I wanted to cover. Okay, so please, I guess I could, let's see. Hang on, where did it go? Never mind. Please check out my channel. Please check out my books. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We will be getting back into gaming, probably back into Final Fantasy VII tomorrow. I have a lot to talk about when it comes to the Squaresoft's history, or Square Enix's history, I should say, of retconning Final Fantasy VII. That's definitely something I want to talk about going forward, because I think it's something that a lot of people have misconceptions about. I think, oops, did that work? Yeah. I think a lot of people tend to understate how badly